Did Taylor Swift just take a direct shot at Charli XCX on her new album? That's what the internet seems to think, and the evidence is wild. What started as a small lyric theory has now exploded into one of the most unexpected pop feuds of the year. Taylor just dropped The Life of a Showgirl, an album that's supposed to represent her happy, healed, in-love era. But one track, actually romantic, has everyone convinced she's throwing shade at Charli. It's not the first time fans have dissected Taylor's lyrics to find hidden messages, but this time, even longtime Swifties are saying, yeah, this one feels personal. From mysterious release dates to questionable lyrics and old interviews being dug up. This story has everything. And what makes it even crazier is that it didn't come out of nowhere. This tension has been quietly building for years, long before the internet caught on. But before we get to the shade, we need to go back to where it all started. Because to understand why fans think Taylor's firing shots, you have to see how her friendship with Charli fell apart in the first place. Back in the late 2010s, Charli XCX landed what most rising pop stars could only dream of, opening for Taylor Swift on her massive Reputation stadium tour. It was one of the biggest pop productions in the world, performing to tens of thousands of fans every night. For Charli, whose sound leaned more experimental and club-focused, this was a huge step into the mainstream spotlight. But as exciting as it was, things didn't go the way fans expected. In later interviews, Charli admitted that she didn't exactly feel at home on stage, describing the experience as waving to 5-year-olds. The comment was meant to express how different their fan bases were, Taylor's being family-friendly, Charli's being edgier and underground. But that single sentence instantly turned into headlines, sparking controversy and outrage from Swifties worldwide. Within hours, social media was flooded with accusations that Charli was being ungrateful or disrespectful toward Taylor. Some fans even accused her of biting the hand that fed her, a narrative that spread faster than she could respond to. Charli eventually clarified that her words were misunderstood, saying she was deeply thankful for the opportunity and only meant that performing for Taylor's audience was a completely different experience from her usual shows. But by then, the damage was already done. Swifties felt protective of Taylor, and the tension between both fandoms quietly began to grow. Even though neither artist showed public hostility, that small moment created a lasting sense of distance between them, one that fans never stopped watching. For years after that, their names would occasionally resurface together whenever new interviews or collaborations were mentioned. But it wasn't until Charli's 2024 album Brat that this quiet tension finally reignited into full-blown speculation. What started as an innocent misunderstanding between two talented artists had now become the foundation for what fans believe could be one of the most subtle and intriguing pop rivalries of the decade. And that moment came years later, when Charli released one of her most personal and controversial albums to date. Fast forward to 2024. Charli XCX releases Brat, an edgy, raw, self-aware record that instantly dominates social media. It's bold, it's experimental, and it feels like Charli finally claiming her power in the pop world. But one song in particular, Sympathy is a Knife, has the internet losing its mind. The lyrics talk about jealousy, comparison, and feeling insecure around another woman. Lines like, "Don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show," and "I hope they break up quick," immediately set off alarms. Why? Because Charli's husband, George Daniel, is a member of the 1975. And who was dating the 1975's frontman Matty Healy at the time? Taylor Swift. It didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. Suddenly, everyone was convinced that Sympathy is a Knife was Charli's coded message about Taylor. Jealousy, rivalry, awkward tension, all hidden behind poetic lyrics. Even though Charli never confirmed it, the rumors spread like wildfire. TikTok threads, Reddit posts, and think pieces all tried to decode what was real and what wasn't. But things really started heating up when fans noticed something strange happening with Taylor's next album release. What happened next sent both fandoms spiraling. Just as Charli XCX's Brat was climbing the UK charts and inching toward her first ever #1 album, Taylor Swift's team suddenly pushed a surprise UK release of the Tortured Poets department. To the casual listener, it might have seemed like nothing more than a coincidence, But to fans, the timing was far too perfect to ignore. Social media immediately lit up with theories that Taylor's team had strategically dropped the release to block Charli from reaching the top spot. The term chart sabotage began trending on Twitter, with fans dissecting the exact timeline of both releases down to the hour. While some argued that it was just business, that Taylor's label planned the rollout months in advance, others insisted it was a power move. To them, it looked like Taylor was quietly reminding the world who still controlled the pop charts. As Brat continued to gain traction, the online rivalry between fan bases reached a breaking point. On one side, Swifties defended Taylor, calling the accusations ridiculous and saying she had no reason to compete with Charli. On the other, Charli's fans, proudly dubbing themselves Brats, accused Taylor's team of stifling another female artist's moment. Entire Reddit threads popped up analyzing streaming numbers, chart updates, and promotional schedules. The more people argued, the more the story grew. Suddenly, what could have been a normal release week turned into a full-blown pop culture debate about competition, power, and industry politics. But the moment things went from online drama to something darker came during one of Charli's live shows in Brazil. A group of concertgoers began chanting, "Taylor is dead," in Portuguese, turning what was supposed to be a celebration of Brat into something unsettling. Charli stopped the show immediately, visibly uncomfortable, and told the crowd that she would not tolerate that kind of negativity. Later, she took to Instagram with a heartfelt post. "Can the people who do this please stop online and at my shows? It's the opposite of what I want, and it disturbs me that anyone would think there's room for this in this community." Her response was widely praised. Fans and media outlets alike commended her for handling it with grace. But the damage was already done. What started as speculation about release timing had now evolved into a public feud between two massive fan bases. And then, when Taylor's new album dropped, fans discovered something that made every single rumor feel real. Taylor's Life of a Showgirl arrived in 2025, a glittery, upbeat record inspired by her love life with Travis Kelce. But buried among all the happy pop tracks was Actually Romantic, a song that stopped fans in their tracks. Even before the album dropped, a leaked lyric had gone viral. "I heard you call me boring Barbie when that got you brave." The internet instantly lit up. Fans couldn't ignore the coincidence. Charli has a song called Everything is Romantic. Taylor's was titled Actually Romantic. That wordplay was way too specific to be random. Then came the full lyrics, and things got even juicier. "High-fived my ex, then you said you're glad he ghosted me. Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face." Fans pointed out that Charli's sympathy is a knife-contained lines about jealousy and wanting Taylor's relationship to end. So, when Taylor sang about someone being happy she got ghosted, it felt like a direct response, and the closing line sealed the deal. "I hadn't thought of you in a long time, but you keep sending me funny valentines." To fans, that wasn't just a lyric. It was Taylor saying, "You started it." From that moment, the internet completely exploded, and both fandoms went to war. The release of Actually Romantic turned the internet into a battlefield. TikTok, Reddit, and X, formerly Twitter, were flooded with think pieces and memes. Some fans called it pop beef at its finest, while others begged people to stop pitting women against each other. One viral tweet read, "Yesterday it was Nicki and Cardi, today it's Taylor and Charli." Another said, "Taylor is the funniest person alive, dancing to Charli while writing a diss track about her." That's right, footage resurfaced of Taylor happily dancing to Charli's Grammys performance just months before the supposed diss. Fans were stunned. Was it all an act? Or was Taylor simply trolling in plain sight? Things escalated further when Maddie Healy's fiancée Gabriette commented on a viral post about Taylor's album. Someone had joked about what the next Taylor record would sound like, and Gabriette wrote, "Babe, record Actually Romantic, please." Fans took it as confirmation that even Maddie's circle knew the song was about Charli. But in the middle of all the chaos, both artists stayed silent. No tweets, no statements, no denials. Just silence, which somehow made the drama even louder. And then, Taylor herself finally broke her silence. But not in the way anyone expected. When Taylor Swift sat down with BBC Radio 1 to promote the life of a showgirl, fans expected the usual: lighthearted conversation, love songs about Travis Kelce, and talk of her new, joyful era. But instead, the interview took a turn that had everyone watching for hidden meaning. Dressed in soft pastels and smiling from ear to ear, Taylor looked radiant, describing this record as one of her happiest and most free projects yet. She said the songs were full of warmth and confidence, a reflection of how she's been feeling in her relationship with Travis. But just as fans started to settle into that narrative, the interviewer asked a question that changed the tone entirely. "Some of these tracks have a bit of a bite to them, don't they?" Taylor paused, smiled knowingly, and gave an answer that instantly lit up the internet. She said, "It's lovely and bright and happy, but it's got teeth. I'm proud of that. It's the full life experience. There's always some element of drama that someone drags into my consciousness, which is fun to write about too." Within minutes, clips of the interview went viral across TikTok and Twitter. Fans couldn't ignore how casually she dropped the word drama, a word that felt loaded given the speculation surrounding Charli XCX. To many, this was Taylor doing what she's always done best, speaking in riddles that everyone knows the answer to, but she'll never actually confirm. Swifties analyzed her tone, her body language, even the timing of her smile, saying she looked amused, as if she knew she was stirring the pot. For longtime fans, this moment felt like déjà vu. Taylor has built her career on transforming real-life tension into clever, layered storytelling. From Bad Blood to Look What You Made Me Do, she's mastered the art of public catharsis. So when she referenced drama being dragged into her consciousness, people took it as her way of acknowledging the feud without ever saying Charli's name. The quote became a headline across major outlets like Billboard and Rolling Stone, with some critics calling it classic Taylor, graceful, cryptic, and ruthless all at once. Whether intentional or not, her words reignited the conversation and kept both fan bases buzzing for weeks. Taylor didn't need to issue a statement or post online. All it took was one interview, one perfectly chosen word, and suddenly, she was back in control of the narrative once again. But not everyone saw it as genius, because the reactions to this album were some of the most divided she's ever faced. Once the hype settled, critics and fans had a lot to say about the life of a showgirl. Some praised it as a fun, self-aware pop record with emotional undertones. Others called it messy, immature, even childish. One viral reaction said, "What were they doing in that studio?" Another fan joked, "It's Reputation's younger sister, not as pretty but more chaotic." Others argued that this album might mark the end of an era. Taylor's been releasing back-to-back projects since 2019, and some fans believe Showgirl is her way of closing the chapter, saying, "Okay, y'all, leave me alone now." Still, her die-hard fans defended her fiercely. They claimed the playful tone and tongue-in-cheek lyrics are exactly what make this album special. For them, it's Taylor being unapologetically herself, even if it means ruffling a few feathers. But whether you love it or hate it, this feud has opened a bigger conversation about how pop stars handle real-life tension in the digital age. When you step back, this whole story says something much deeper about fame, art, and the internet. What happens when every lyric, every Instagram comment, every glance turns into a global conspiracy? For Taylor and Charli, two women who've built careers on authenticity and creativity, this feud feels almost symbolic. It's not just about one song or one relationship. It's about what happens when your art becomes public property. Fans want honesty, but when artists give it to them, it becomes weaponized. Taylor turns pain into pop anthems. Charli turns insecurity into electronic confessions. Both are doing what artists do best, expressing themselves, yet the internet twists it into battle lines. Maybe the real story here isn't who's right or wrong, but how the digital age blurs the line between art and gossip. Because in 2025, pop music isn't just entertainment, it's a contact sport. And that brings us to one question that no one can stop asking. Was Actually Romantic a clever piece of pop theater, or a genuine shot fired at Charli XCX? Was Taylor defending herself, or playing into the drama because she knows fans can't look away? Whatever the truth is, this feud, real or imagined, has already done what both artists do best: keep the world talking. So, what do you think? Is Taylor subtly responding to Charli's sympathy as a knife, or are fans just reaching again? Let me know what side you're on, because if one thing's for sure, this is far from over. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next upload. And don't forget to drop a like and share your thoughts in the comments. It helps the channel grow and lets me know what stories you want covered next.